Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Ghana Art Season. I am Vanessa Jan. I'm a media personality and also the creator of Modern Day Moms of Accra. We're going to get this session kicked off right away with an introduction of our esteemed panelists. We will kick off with first Elam Amankwa. So let's give her a round of applause.
Hello, everyone. As she said, my name is Elom Amankwa, and I am one very nosy fashion business consultant. When I do my one-on-ones with my clients, I like to know everything. I like to really dig deep, find out their processes, where they source, how they source, what's the reason for what they are doing. And the reason I do that is because when someone is sick, when you go to the hospital, right, you need to tell the doctor all your symptoms so that you can be helped, so that there's some kind of cure. And this is not to say that I'm perfect or that there are any perfect brands out there, or to point fingers or anything at anyone and say, well, this brand is sustainable, this one is not, or this brand is copying this or that. I think the fact that we are all here shows that we are all willing to kind of poke each other a little bit so that we can see where we're headed, so that we can see how we can grow together. So my job as a fashion business consultant is to work with brands, help them improve their processes, and help them to become brands with longevity. Sustainability to me is about survivability. Survivability of the clothes, of the people, and of the business itself. As I said, I'm a fashion business consultant, so it all comes back to the business. Survivability of the clothes in terms of in how many different ways can people wear your clothes? Are your clothes durable enough to be passed down so that someone is not wearing them once and then it looks nice, but they can't wear it again, and then they discard the clothes, and then that goes into the landfill, and so on and so forth. In terms of the people, are your people being treated well enough? Are they working in safe conditions so that you're not wasting time and efforts hiring and rehiring people, retraining people all over and over again? Because at the end of the day, if you don't treat your workers well, they quit, you have to hire and rehire. All you're doing is wasting precious resources, correcting their problems, and then the customer gets the worst end of the stick, because when inexperienced people are making their clothes, they have complaints, or there's a problem with the dress, they can't wear it again, and back to the same issue about it not being something that's versatile enough, something that just ends up back in the landfill. So to me, again, sustainability is about survivability of the clothes, of the people, and of the business. In terms of the business, we need to start thinking about being or having brands with longevity. We need to get out of the box of just doing things for vibes and actually thinking long term. So that's sustainability to me. That's what I do. So I guess at the end of all of this, so I'm saying, if you remember nothing else about what I've said, my name is Elom Amankwa. I'm a very nosy fashion business consultant, and to me, sustainability is about survivability.
Let's give Elam a round of applause. We'll definitely get to know more about Elam throughout today's session. So next up is Echo Bonds. Let's give Echo a round of applause.
Hello, good evening, guys. My name is Jacob Barnes. Nice to meet everyone. I'm a writer and a creative producer. I'm excited being here because this particular conversation, before even moving into creative production, my main work that I started, or my passion that I started off, was writing for emerging designers and also emerging talent who are basically into sustainable fashion. So I remember when I started writing for Vogue Italia, my first commission job was to write about the top 6 sustainable fashion designers from Ghana and Nigeria. So I'm really excited being here. Sustainable fashion to me means being intentional and also being very honest with your dealings when it has to do with the people that you cater for. So in terms of if you are a designer, how best are your tailors happy? Do you pay them well? Or you're just using the name sustainable just because you think it's a trend that you want to follow? I'm excited and I can't wait to share more with you guys today. Thank you.
Thank you, Echo. Let's give Echo a round of applause. So another lady is coming to take the stage. Her name is Harriet Ann Ejabeng. Let's give her a round of applause.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Harriet Anijabin. I'm known in the industry as Akuvia Jabs. A lot of people are not used to my hair, but rebranding. So I am a sustainable fashion writer and a researcher. A lot of people like to call me, I've been nicknamed the sustainability expert because the past 2 years, I've actually been delving about how brands, especially startup brands, could actually design business modules that will put less pressure on the environment. Sustainability is one of those topics that I'm very, very passionate about. And I am also passionate about using the voices and experiences of women to mitigate the issues of climate change because during my research or throughout my research journey, I've actually been exposed to the negative parts or the negative side of fashion, which we all love. And I started Queen's Era, which is a sustainable fashion community information center, to just dump sustainability information from women because I believe we are actually great resources to drive the industry towards a future with no net emissions. I also lead the sustainability Center for Ghana Youth Environmental Movement. So what Ghana Youth Environmental Movement does is it's a youth-led organization that mobilizes young people to address or it's a youth-led environmental movement that encourages young people to address environmental issues. So yeah, that's just it. I'm excited to be with you. I'm a bit nervous, so just take it like that.
Thank you, Harriet. Let's give Harriet a round of applause. And last but not least, joining us on stage is Travis Obeng Casper. Let's give him a round of applause.
Hi, everyone. Good evening. My name is Travis Obeng Casper. I am the founder and creative director of Ajabin. Also, I'm very, passionate about fashion education in Ghana specifically. So I have this platform called the Ajabin Way, where basically what I do is, I address the issues with fashion education in Ghana, and also making sure that fashion students in Ghana are given, the visibility that they need. For me, with sustainability, I think I like what Echo said, saying that being intentional about what you do. I think it's very important for us to understand that, you have to be very, aware. You have to be self-conscious of whatever, you are dealing with in your production, in the people you are working with. It's not necessarily about, the pieces you are making, but how is, the workspace, how are things going in the workspace. I think, basically that, being intentional, being aware of your surroundings. So thank you. I'm so excited to be here, and I can't wait to share more. Thank you.
Thank you. So we're going to get right into the discussion. Make sure you have all your questions ready. Make sure to absorb everything our panelists are going to say, because this panel, they're on a different level when it comes to the fashion industry. So you definitely want to take all the tips from them and really, like I said, absorb everything that they have to say. So the questions, I'm gonna throw the questions out, and then whoever wants to pick it up can pick it up, okay? So first up, what is sustainable fashion in local context? Who wants to take it? Sustainable fashion in local context. Echo?
All right.
Okay, so I think there's this idea about sustainable fashion on the continent, and I think we don't really understand like the fundamentals. And I'm going to go off the grid. Um, as Christians, right? They say that you go to church and everything, but what are the basics of being a Christian? Is understanding the love of Jesus Christ. So if you're able to understand the fundamentals, the basics, it means that your religious life or whatever it is becomes very easier for you to live. So if you don't understand the basis of what sustainable fashion is, it would be difficult for you to move around and trying to have sustainable fashion. I'll give an example. Let's say you go to Makola, right? The second-hand stuff, and then you ask, the ladies or the women, the men, and you ask them that, do you know that the stuff you are bringing is not good for the environment? You're going to know, you're going to understand the kind of stuff they are going to say to you. But imagine that they are aware that whatever they are bringing, it's not good to the environment. It will be very easy to have this kind of conversation. So I think sustainable fashion, on the continent here, needs to be, properly addressed. The fundamentals needs to be, given properly, and not just, us being in the fashion, industry, but whoever is around, whoever is dealing, in this, clothing aspect, would also understand what it really means. So I think it's the basis, understanding the fundamentals. That's it.
Okay.
Good, good.
Let me just add to what Travis said. So to me, I like to think of sustainable fashion as production processes that put less pressure on the environment. And it also goes beyond the materials we use. It covers labor issues, protecting not just the environment, but people within the supply chain. Because when you research into fashion and everything that is going, I mean, it's a really big industry, but there are so many things that are wrong with it when it comes to labor issues, when it comes to activities within the supply chain. So to me, sustainability is more of protecting the environment and protecting the lives and rights of everyone within the supply chain.
In my own context, to me, I think sustainable fashion locally is you being like I said, you being intentional about things, but also if you are a creative, if you are a designer, and in quotes, you are into sustainable fashion, your ways of doing things should be very clear. The message that you are putting out there to the public should be so clear that you don't try to miscommunicate things to people, because even here now, a lot of young designers or even some established designers see maybe Elom is a designer, I'm a designer. The moment Elom started maybe batik tie-dye, and I see that maybe she's moving on, the next season I also come out with a collection, and in quotes, I call myself a sustainable fashion designer. When behind the scenes, I'm not even paying my workers well. I go all the way to the north, and I ask these young women to, whether if it's baskets that you're making, if it's tie that you're making, if it's the kente from Bonre and all these places, you don't even pay these people well. And when I say paying these people well, it's so sad that 3 years ago when I don't know if it's 2 or 3 years ago, but correct me if I'm wrong, when the pandemic happened, after we came out of that whole stay at home, myself and my friend, we went all the way to Bonre, where they make the kente, and I was so excited because I grew up away in Kumasi during my junior high school before I went to high school. So I never had the chance to visit Bonre, but now being an adult, going that side alone, and while I was there, I saw so many, in quotes, YT people there, and they were taking videos, they were buying, and you could tell that they are buying it in a lot of folds. Like maybe someone will buy, let's say, tons of like kente fabric for like, let's say, 4,000, 5,000. To these local men, it's money to them. But we all know that it's, in a way, one, that man is not even understanding what this white man is trying to get. I'm not here to sound maybe being racist or whatever, but what I'm trying to say is, even as local people sometimes, when we go to these old men, these old women, people in codes who are not really very knowledgeable like us, we tend to cheat them. And we come back to Accra, we go back to whatever place that we are as designers or as retail managers, and we claim that, oh, I'm into sustainable fashion. But when you went to the north, you pay someone as low as maybe 100 cities, 200 cities. You came back to Accra selling a fabric or whatever for like 2,000, 3,000 plus. So like I said again, it's, for me, in my own understanding, when it comes to sustainable fashion, it's that sort of you not being very clear, because if you claim that you're a sustainable fashion designer, a sustainable creative, a speaker, retail manager, you need to also be very intentional about how you pay your people. Talk to them, know their ways. It's not always about you always being the forefront of things. Sometimes highlight your workers, let them see that they are the ones who are producing mass scale for you to get that money or that visibility. Thank you.
Thank you.
So just to pitch in, one of the things that I've noticed these days, a lot of brands talk about small batch production. In terms of when you ask them why they say they're a sustainable brand, they say because they do small batch production. But I think, like everyone here has said, I think it goes way beyond that. It also goes way beyond the materials that are being used, because already locally we tend to already produce things in small batches. It's kind of like, in terms of sustainability, culturally, that's kind of how we already do it. One of the most important things, I think, is the people, like everyone has said here. The fashion industry is kind of notorious for paying people poorly, being secretive about how much this person is being paid or that person is. There's like a lot of secrecy. I don't know, it's like there's some cloud surrounding the industry, especially when it comes to pay. There are so many people, I don't know about you guys here, but I've had experiences trying to build my way up in this industry, where you work and you're not paid. They promise that they'll pay, they don't pay you. It's been months. Oh, I sent these bank people, I sent the transfer, I don't know what's going on. And then the next month is something. It's like the people are important, but then on the outside, we talk about sustainability, but it's not just about the planet and the materials, it's also about the people.
I absolutely agree. So when it comes to perceptions and meanings, is sustainable fashion a myth? Is it a myth?
I don't think it's a myth. I think sustainability just means different things to different people. I think that some brands are sustainable, and then they are focusing on a specific aspect of sustainability. Some brands are doing innovative things with the type of fabrics that they're using. Some brands are focused on being a heritage brand and using cultural practices and techniques and things like that. I think there are just different ways to be sustainable. So it depends on when you were developing your brand, like what were your core values? What do you believe in? What does the brand stand for? So I don't think it's a myth. I just think it depends.
Okay, I also don't think sustainable fashion is a myth. We have this notion, or we in the designers in the global south actually have this notion that slow fashion is what our business model is. It's not enough for us to say that slow fashion is our business model and we just leave it like that. I think that we need to take a step further. Even with us, I know sustainable fashion can be a complicated concept. Even for those of us who are researching into it, we are still learning we are unlearning. So we need to move away from that notion that sustainability is what our business model is. Like we mentioned, it goes beyond just using the fabrics. We find brands here talking about, oh, we are sustainable, we support the community, we are all about women empowerment. But in actual fact, most of us don't get paid for the jobs we do. I'm sorry if this platform has become a point for us as creatives to vent, but it's honestly nauseating. It's choking us. We are tired of being exploited. And we find these people sitting on big platforms talking about empowering creatives, and behind the scenes, it's something else. So I guess maybe we are still learning, we are still unlearning, but I think there is more that we need to do. We need to really think about the people in the supply chain.
I think that was great stuff. I don't think sustainability is a myth. I think it's very, very, very important in our daily lives. And I'm going to give a cool example. So, I mean, you are working and then they give you 1,000 Ghana cedis. And, you know, once you get your payments and you buy stuff, like you spend everything, and then you come back and you're not able to, you know, figure yourself out. That's not sustainable, right? You are not able to sustain yourself, right? But if you get the 1,000 cedis and you know that I need to pay, you know, item A, I need to pay item B, I need to pay item C, you've been able to figure everything out, right? So it means that whenever you get 1,000 cedis, you still go back and then do the same thing, and you are able to move on. But if it is the first step, you are always struggling. What am I going to do? What am I going to do? What am I going to do? So sustainability is super important. And you know, if you look at how, you know, the world, where we are now, you know, on the continent, on the planet, it's not, we should even forget about the idea of, you know, making clothes, right? You know, the climate change, you know, all those kind of, you know, interesting stuff, funny stuff. We have to pay attention to those things. So I don't think sustainability is a myth that, you know, it's just that people have different ideas, you know, about how they think it is and how they think, you know, things should move. But yeah, I don't think it's a myth. I think it's something we really, really, really have to pay, you know, attention to it, so we can move on, you know, as people. Yeah.
So Ellen mentioned heritage. I picked up the word heritage. So I want to know, what's the role of sustainable heritage practices, such as passing down, you know, cloth, generation after generation?
I think with regards to that, heritage, like, as Ghanaians, we are one of the people on the continent where we tell our story in everything that we do. From you even picking Chosky, from buying your wache, everything that we do is us telling our story. And growing up with my grandmother, she was more like a faceted woman, where she did a lot of things in terms of, she was a caterer, she was a seamstress. Like, she did everything that you can think of as an African woman or a Ghanaian woman. And there were times I remember that she had like different fabrics that had meanings. So she would just call you one of the days and go like, oh, sa kente, or this kente has that is the meaning of it. It means, or this shit. Like, I mean, forgive me, that there were so many different layers as to what she was trying to tell me then. Even then, I wasn't really like getting on it, because I was like, you just like talking. But when I grew up and I started coming into this industry, one thing I realized as a producer that has really worked for me was, there's so many stories that now my grandmom, she telling me, I now go back and I tap into it, and it's like, it's much easy to do. Like, whenever I get a job and I'm working on a deck, it's so easy to think about, oh, the people of the Fanti people or the Gans, the people in the north, the Votarians and all that. But people have made it. I mean, as creatives, sometimes we always limit ourselves when it comes to our heritage story, where it's solely like it's tiring. Like I always tell my friends and even sometimes clients that, in as much as you come to me or you want us to work and you're always looking for an inspiration, but your inspiration is because Vanessa did something. That's what you are bringing to me. That is not you telling your heritage story. I always try fighting with clients sometimes. I'm very stubborn on that. I really want. I'm like, Accra is not the only place for us to highlight. There are so many beautiful spaces in Ghana that even for me, I feel like I have a lot of work to do when it comes to telling stories. So when a client comes to me and is like, oh yeah, we want to go to Lighthouse. Yeah, Lighthouse is cute, but it's so saturated. Like everyone comes to Ghana and they want to go create story around Lighthouse, which is fine. But like, what happened to the people in Sinyani? What happened to the people in Koforida? There are so many beautiful places that when it comes to our heritage and also storytelling, we could really highlight on it. So for me, it's more like as creative or as a designer, as whoever that you are in this room, you don't need to limit yourself the way you think, the way you create, because you can draw inspiration from so many things. And my way of drawing inspiration is very great. I can be talking to you and maybe you might be talking about, oh, how women empowerment. I remember Harry said something about women empowerment in Ghana is like, they just use that word, but they are not even empowering each other. Right? I can have an idea and be like, okay, what can I do during International Women's Day? How do I think about telling a story to the world? Oh, I remember that growing up, my grandmom used to really do her hair. Like, fancy, they call it atekoa, if anyone knows that. Like, they do that sort of hair with, like, very nice whatever. What can I do? Okay, you know what, let me just put together some models, find a publishing house or find a client who will be willing to tap into that. So right there, as a creative storyteller, what I'm trying to do is what? To sell my people, to sell my culture to the world in the world contemporary way, because I mean obviously they wouldn't want that whole cliche traditional style, but there are ways and means that we can what tell our story and make it look so rich. And you could tell we've had the likes of all these bigger brands coming down to do campaigns, and you could see that this was actually in Ghana. Yes, it was in Ghana. Maybe we didn't see it, and we allowed someone to come down to tell our story. So when we are talking about heritage, I just, again, will touch again, we just need to be very, very strategic about how we tell our story and the inspiration that we are putting out there for the public. Thank you.
Thank you, Echo.
This is so cool, and I think that's part of the reason why I am here, because I think this is basically what the Ajaben brand is about, right? And if you look at the Ajabin brand, basically, the aesthetic is Afro minimalism. So basically, using the simplest way to represent Ghana and Africa, and the continent. And sometimes I remember, there was a lady who got who got an outfit, and then she said the outfit was timeless, and then she was going to leave the outfit to her daughter so that daughter can also wear. And that was like super amazing, like for someone to get that particular outfit, to say that I'm going to leave it for my daughter to also wear. It was everything to me, right? And again, you can look at the Ajabin outfits. It is so plain, right? It is so plain, but what makes it cool, right? I am so passionate about telling the Ghanaian and African story through my campaigns. And like what Eko said, for example, I think it's very important for us to understand what we have here and how we can make sense out of it. So I remember my previous collection themed Ghana Week. So it was inspired by a Ugandan Sudanese photographer called Richard Lokidinwani. And I look at his works and I was like, yo, I can actually make something out of it. So, I mean, Eko actually produced the campaign. So I said to Eko, hey, this is what I have in mind, but I don't want to use models. I want to use real, random citizens. And we went all the way to Insawam, and then we went to shoot the campaign. And just looking at, I remember the first woman, we shot, she was super excited, right? Being able to, wear wear that particular outfit, she actually sent us to her living room, did the campaign, did the shoot, super excited. We got random people doing the shoot, and something like that, it lives with you forever and ever. So, and I think if we are able to, pay attention to that, bring out that feeling. I'm more about, telling that kind of, I want to bring that kind of like emotions out of you. You see a certain window and you're like, wow, I can see, like, I saw this in my grandmother's room, I saw this in my grandfather's room. I want you to have that kind of feeling, right? So I think, that's it. This is what amazing to me, and I'm glad, the Ajabin brand is working on that.
Okay, so I think passing down clothes has always been a part of us because I still have some pieces that I took from my mom. And we, as fashion brands here in Ghana, could actually tell our story through sustainability reports. We always talk about the fact that we brag about the fact that we embark on corporate social responsibility activities, we are sustainable, but where are the sustainability reports? Throughout my sustainability research journey, I've realized that we, the designers in the global South, could actually give certain business advices to the global South, but you can't find it. You go on a brand's website, a brand that claims that they are sustainable, and you don't find sustainability reports. Sustainability reports are very important because it's what informs the public, it's what educates the consumers, but obviously, because we actually most brands do not want people, quote and unquote, meddling in their issues, so there is no sustainability reports, but I don't think that is how we can tell our stories. And we always talk about the fact that sustainability is our thing, and the global North are taking that story away from us, but we are actually not telling the story. So I believe that one of the ways we can actually tell our heritage story is by embedding them in our sustainability reports.
Thank you. Harriet mentioned hand-me-downs, so I want to touch on secondhand clothing, which is shipped in abundance to Ghana, and then it's dumped at the beach. Secondhand clothing in other parts of the world, people open boutiques, they make lots of money from it, but it seems to be there's a negative attitude towards it here. What are your thoughts on secondhand clothing and the environmental impact it's making negatively because of the way it's being brought in and distributed?
I think, well, it's because most of what's brought in is trash. I mean, there are people that are opening stores with secondhand clothing and all of that, but I don't know if she will have the figure or something. I'm wondering what percentage of the things that are brought in are actually usable, 10%, that are actually usable, that we are in good condition enough for us to use and maybe even now pass on to someone else. But then if what they are bringing is trash, it kind of defeats the whole purpose.
I absolutely agree. Anyone else? Echo?
I really don't have much about that, but I think for me, I'll say I was very guilty about secondhand stuff because I used to go to Canterlot and I'll buy because then I wanted to be that cool kid. I buy a lot, and after 1, 2, 3 months, it's just there, you're not even wearing again. But for me, one way or the other, one thing I learned that I started doing was, if I'm having so many clothing that I'm buying, whether from Cannes, whether from wherever place I'm buying, I don't need to throw them away. You just need to reuse, like they say. If it's jeans, find ways and means. Luckily, I have some good friends who are good designers, so I mean, I think Neil is here. He is more into reuse. Like what he does is he uses more of jeans to like do some sort of new looks and all that. Sometimes what I do is I just give out my clothing to like my loved ones. I think instead of me throwing it before, I would just give it to like the rubbish guys to just do it. But I realized that it wasn't really helping. And one thing that is really happening right now when you go to Kant, and I love what is it always present? Also, yeah, the always, yeah. I love what they are doing. The whole Aura Foundation, they are more into this whole awareness where they are always pushing the agenda of not buying, because we all can attest to this. You have so many looks and you don't even wear them in a whole year, because how many times do you even go out? But we just love to buy because you want to feel good. As these brands and all these big names trying to push the agenda of SS30, SS23, don't buy when you know you're not going to wear. Like, it's okay to, right now, I'm so not ashamed. Like, I don't mind repeating looks on my Instagram or going to check. I feel like it's okay to wear something and just what change. If I'm wearing this pant, I wore this pant last week Saturday for an event, and I'm like, yeah, I'm not about to get a new pant or whatever. Just have maybe a different look. But now, our creative space or this whole internet is making it look like it's a competition. You need to always be changing because, oh, if you're a brand, people are watching you. How are people watch? People will watch you if you are not even being intentional about, oh, I don't need to go buy Elom's dress every now and then. Let me just pull and pay something little from Elom and just go and send it back to her. That way, I'm trying to save them rather than always buying, when at the end of the day, in a year, you only wear like 3 of the looks out of 10 that you buy. So personally, I had to stop that, and I'm still learning. I'm still trying so hard not to buy a lot, even though I love to look good. But yeah, right now, it's more of like pullings or not buying so much. Thank you.
I mean, all of us have one way or the other bought from Kantamanto. Throughout my fashion journey, almost everything, every role that I have been involved with has been me interacting with the retailers in Kantamanto. And they are always talking about the fact that, I mean, I know years ago, 7 years ago when I was in the Polytechnic, I take my friends to Kantamanto. We get like really good quality clothes, like really good stuff. But then 7 years down the line, you go to Kantamanto and you don't even find anything. And the retailers always complaining about the fact that the things that come into the market, they can't even sell them. And shamelessly, I am not a conscious consumer. I am a shopper. I wouldn't say it's terrible. I'm a shopaholic. But I have tried as much as possible to buy good quality clothes. So when I'm going to buy, as a conscious consumer or as a consumer, I'm more of a consumer activist than a conscious consumer because, of course, I can't stop buying. I buy, and buy. So I ask the designers, how do I take care of my clothes? How do I is there a possibility for me to bring the clothes back for alteration? You know, I feel that brands owe us that information when we are buying. It shouldn't always be about them wanting to sell. They should try as much as possible to educate us on how to take care of our clothes, because sometimes you buy the item and you are supposed to dry clean. But I mean, you shouldn't leave us to think that, okay, we know that we need to dry clean it. I could take it to a washerwoman and they'll just dump it into a Parazone solution and that's the end of it. It gets spoiled and the next thing, I use it as a rag and I don't even know where it's ended. So I think brands should educate consumers on how to properly take care of our clothes. It's okay if you are like me, a consumer who can never stop shopping, but I believe that it's important for you to invest in really good quality clothes. And now there are resale platforms, or there are sort of polished second-hand platforms, like what Global Fashion Exchange did with Lagos Fashion Week. Most of the times, what I do, my friends and I, we exchange clothes in our closets. I give them maybe whatever they want, I give them, then take theirs back. So I feel that is also another way for us to live like sustainable lives.
Yeah, I think second-hand is part of the reason why sustainability is not a myth, right? And like I said from the beginning, I think it's just the fundamentals, the basis, understanding what it really means, to be sustainable. And like I said, imagine you go to Kantamanto, the Makola, you ask this woman, you know that whatever you are selling, it's not good for the environment. They're probably going to, insult you or something. But think about this. Imagine this can also be maybe be a solution. So let's say when they are bringing the stuff, right, and it comes, we should make sure that we ask them, are you sure you'll be able to sell all of this? So if you're not able to sell everything, then maybe there should be some consequences, right? So I don't know, maybe there can be an institution, an organization to say that whoever is bringing this stuff, because at the end of the day, we know that you won't be able to sell them. So if you're not able to sell them, what's then going to happen? It means that it's going to be, dumped, at the sea or whatever it is, and it's not going to help the environment, right? So there can be an organization, whatever it is, to say that if you bring the stuff, are you, fully sure that you can sell everything? And if you're not able to, you bring the records, everything. If you're not able to, there are consequences. So then it limits, the idea of, okay, let me bring them. So basically that.
So I also like to think of Kantamanto as a business opportunity because there are lots of people, especially women, whose livelihoods are dependent on this business model. So what I think is that the policymakers actually owe us the responsibility of designing regulations and policies that will regulate the activities in the market. So before anything comes into this country, quality control is very, very important. What are the kind of things that are coming to the market? Because our landfills are full. We don't have landfill space for fast fashion waste because most of the things that come into the market are fast fashion waste. From H&M, from Zara, from Fashion Nova, very notorious copycats. So I feel that we need to regulate the activities in Kantamanto, not, completely taking that business model out of the system because people's livelihoods are dependent on it. So we need to regulate the activities in the market, setting up proper quality control processes, then regulating the kind of things that comes into the market. Also, I think that if we, the environmentalists or sustainability activists, hold these fast fashion brands accountable, what I always advocate for is that any brand that you find, you harass these brands to set up proper fashion waste recycling centers. Then we recycle these pieces, this rubbish that you bring back, you dump into our country, and we recycle them and send you back the fabric so that you do whatever you want to do with it. So this actually provides jobs for the kaya years in the market because it's hell. I don't know if we've actually been having conversations with these kaya years when they get, it's a game of, it's an issue of life and death. For the OFF, I was reading a report from the OFF Foundation, and they were talking about how the bills make their spinal cord. Some of them even die during the process. Their kids, some of the bills fall on these kids, and these are things that wouldn't even get sold. So why should people die for other people to wear good, to look good? So I feel establishing a proper fashion waste recycling plant here, where we send back their waste to them for them to do whatever it is they want to do with it.
Let's give Harriet a round of applause for that. So I need to know, do you feel like mass sustainable production is feasible in Africa?
I think that's way low.
I think it's feasible. There are ways of doing it. Like I said, sustainability, it depends on what you want to focus on. If you want to focus on reducing waste, there are ways of producing on a mass scale, but being very conscious about how the fabric is cut, how to reduce the consumption as much as possible, using the scraps and things like that, so that even though it's being done on a mass scale, you're still saving time and the fabric. For instance, like how many layers of the fabric, how many pieces of fabric are you laying on top of each other so that you can cut them at one go to save time? How are you placing your patterns and things like that, so that basically so that there's as little waste as possible, and so that if there is any waste, there needs to be some kind of system for what are we using these scrap fabrics for. So I think it's possible.
I think it's possible. I'm going to touch base on last month. My team and I did a project for World Bank and Tony Blair, and during the process, I remember they were very particular. I mean, the main aim why they did that whole event was to work with designers, not just in quote that whole sustainable, because sometimes, like I say, we just use sustainable fashion and to just cheat people or to just do some dirty stuff. But for them, they were like, hey, it's not about getting designers who are in quote into sustainable fashion, but like how Elon mentioned, even their finishing, their cut, how business minded they are, because if they, I mean, their main aim was to come down, which is going to happen hopefully, to have like a very big production company for young designers and even established designers for them to like go there and just produce in mass, says not rather than going to maybe China or all these places. And during that process, the whole selection was we sent almost like 100 plus designers, and I kid you not, it was very tough because you can say, okay, Harriet is so good, this is what she does, and they're like, we don't like what she stands for. You send Harriet an email, even just for her to even respond. It's like, so it's not just, oh, we are doing our business or whatever, but these guys wanted to see the real business-minded people, how they go about with their clients, what's their source of, like, in terms of if they are sourcing their fabric, where did they get it from? Who are their workers? Who are their clients? How serious are they when it comes to what doing these things? So I really think, like, in terms of mass production right now, it's really exciting being part of that project, and I really hope and pray that it will really happen very soon for every designer or every young. It's not even just for Ghana, because if we have that mass production company here in Ghana, people from Nigeria, Togo, and Abidjan can come down to create. So I think it's really exciting that we are getting into a space where now the global creativity, or in terms of fashion creative, the fashion creative world is really getting noticed, especially here in Ghana. So we just need to really act right, so that you just might never know who is watching you, and it's really so like exciting seeing how people are coming in every now and then. Some people might even be in this room who are like top experts just watching. So for me, I think in as much as we are talking about mass production, if we as people, we are not ready, trust me, we can have that company and we still produce trash. So we really need to be able, we really need to learn. Like, I always tell like young designers, don't claim and say, oh, I'm a designer. Because I'm always having that discussion with my brother Travis, where I'm like, I'm tired of fashion schools in Ghana claiming they are teaching people fashion, but they are not. People finish school with the aim of, I want to be a fashion designer. Not everyone can be the Christy Brown or the Kofi Ansa and all these people. You can actually work with a fashion brand by being a stylist, by being a PR. There are so many ways of you, but they've really made them, as soon as you get to school, everyone, yeah, you have to do this. Nah, why don't you teach people that, oh, hey, you are talented, but maybe yours is not to sew. Yours is to just to draw, for Elom to what? Sit down and what? Be under that machine. So in as much as we're talking about mass production, we also need to be very, very strategic about how we learn, so that when anyone comes to us as Ghanaians, we are ready for the market, because the world is really not waiting for us. Thank you.
Thank you, Echo. You touched on what we're about to discuss when it comes to Ghanaian designers and young creatives going global. I think the past couple of years have been incredible when it comes to Ghanaian young creatives, designers really taking on the world. But people always want to know, where can they find these opportunities? And I think I'll start with Echo, because the past year, Echo has like taken flight. Like, he has done amazing. Like, if you followed his career from way back when, and where he's come, he's definitely someone you want to study already, yeah, because he's incredible. So how do these opportunities come? Do they just knock on your door? Are you the one pitching yourself? And also, I think sometimes you don't even know who's saying your name in these rooms. So like you said, it's about really putting yourself out there to be seen and doing it the right way.
Forgive me if I'm going to talk for like very long, because this is my favorite part. I think, I think in terms of brands reaching out, or by God's grace, where I am now, I just feel it didn't just start like, oh, I just want to work with Puma, I just want to work with Adidas, I just want to, because trust me, I came to meet some people and I respect them. They are like good producers in Ghana who are doing way much better than what I'm doing. But why would maybe a brand like Nike, a brand like New Balance, a brand like Adidas want to work with a young boy like me? It's just about also perseverance. It's just about, again, how strategic you are as a creative. Because whenever I talk to my friends or even creatives, oh, I can't wait for us to work. Yes, I am excited working with you, but it's not about, I have, my best friend is in a room, and I don't know, remember the last time I put him on a job, not because he's not good, but I always want the right time to work with people. It's not just because I know you or whatever. Because at the end of the day, it's about us telling a story. So if I'm vouching for Elom and Elom puts me down, no one will ever come back to me again. And I wouldn't want a situation where I work with a brand and like, oh, thanks so much. When you reach out to them, they don't. I kid you, and I'm so proud to say this, that every brand I've worked with, they are always excited, or we can't wait to work back again. If you have any new ideas, share with me. So I'm always going back to them. If they say no, maybe they don't have a budget, or maybe they are not looking at coming down to do. But for me, one thing that really worked, that I'm really humbled about, is coming from a model perspective as a model then, and now moving into a writer and a producer. I've been anyone who knows me, I'm very, very intentional about everything I do. Oh, let's do something. And as creative, we always think it's all about money. I love money so much. Me, if you can, I'll charge you. But I've worked, even now, I've worked on projects that I'm not getting anything. Not because, oh, you are trying to cheat me. I'm the one getting mad, because you might think, oh, yeah, he's just being whatever. I just got him. But when I started, me and my best friend would come together. He's a designer. I was just excited. I was just hungry. And we'll sit down like, hey, Neil, let's put together something. Then I wasn't even studying PR. I mean, my background is PR and mass communication. And I wasn't even doing PR. My parents wanted me to be a forensic. I wonder if it would have ever happened because of this here. And during that period, we were just hungry. We woke up one day, we ended up in Lagos. And then Ebola had happened, and it was like a whole of whatever. I'm not here to even bore you guys about that. We were just like young creatives who just wanted to tell something, but we didn't know where to fall back, or I mean, where to fall in, because it was just so many things happening in that period. And we will create, and I'll be like, okay, Neil, how do we go about telling this story? It's like, okay, I'll do the design, you should wear, we'll get a photographer, we all come together, we shoot, and I'll be my own PR. I'll send the same page to, then El South Africa was really like the ish then. We will send it to Bella Niger. All these people say, no, it's not good for us. Da, 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 da. But through it all, I never let that really deter me, because I feel like as young creatives now, we are very entitled, and that's one thing that won't take us far, because if Elom comes to me and I say no to her, why did he reject me? But maybe you're not ready yet. But sometimes it's okay for people to say no to you, because trust me, the number of people that said no to me, now I look back and I'm like, wow, it was actually needed. Because I remember, I'm going to say this, I've never said it anywhere. My first ever article pitch, I pitched to Vogue magazine. The way the lady bounced me, she wrote in caps, I don't know if you never did your research, but you are not a writer. Don't ever send me any pitch again if you are not ready for the market. I was so sad. I was so sad. I was like, why? Because for me, I thought it's just writing, but actually, As a writer, you need to do your research. You just don't wake up and say you're doing a story. So sometimes when people reach out to me and like, oh, we should do story. Why should I do a story? Is it because it's trending? No, that's not how I roll. I want to tell a story because it's actually very important as at then. But we as designers, as photographers, as videographers, we just want to hop on anything because, oh, I need money. Money is very good, but sometimes people are watching. I've been in rooms in terms of board marketing meeting, and they're like, oh, we are doing this because we saw so and so. And when I was on Facebook project, I didn't go on as a producer. I was a production stylist, head of. So we had like the head stylist from South Africa, but I was like the local head stylist. But people thought I was part of the production bit. But what we did was, right there, my study of all that process of people saying no to me learning my PR, me doing 2x4 pitches to all these publications, it really helped because they gave me almost like, we're styling almost like 150 talent. And you need to reach out to different designers across from Ghana, Nigeria, because we wanted to pull. Imagine that period, I wasn't good with my email etiquette because you have to send all of them emails, let them know the timing that you want to pull, when you're going to return an order. And I'm like, I'm not a stylist, but then, hey, it's not you being a stylist here. That's another thing that it's not just you claiming you're a photographer. It's not just you claiming you're a designer. It's not just you claiming you're a writer. How good are you when they put you on the spot, would you be able to show yourself approved? And we always say these things that, oh, I'm so good, I'm a creative director. Now, even put together a mood board will become a problem. And people want to tell stories. And one thing that I always say to my Ghanaian friends or my African brothers is, the West really love African story because that's how they make their money, whether we like it or not. Because you are here, you see that today, so-and-so movie, they will even do a movie, inspiration, you can see that it's coming from Ghana, Kumasi, and all, but they will never have to work with any local creative. At the end of the day, they do an inspiration here. So when you are telling your story, why are you copying someone doing always, let's say, you want to do a studio shoot? Don't get me wrong, studio shoot is fine, you want to do. Why don't you also think about outdoor shoot? Go to the market, get a market women like how Ajabin said. I remember when he gave me that task, we just walked into their house. We wanted to use their house for the shoot. And I'm like, Travis, I think this woman works. He's like, yes, I want that woman. We should go. As soon as we spoke with this woman, she was so excited, like doing this with us. And at the end of the day, when we did it came out so good. And it's not just we just going there. Again, I'm touching based on sustainability, just doing our shoot and leaving. We gave her something. She was so excited. She didn't even know because she wasn't expecting we're going to. People come down and they make it look like you need me so much. You can't be a creative director. You can't be a producer and not even being transparent about your payment. You might think that some of these big clients are not watching. What they do, sometimes they go behind the scenes. And I've seen that on so many projects that they will ask, how much did Elon pay you? They won't ask in a way that, oh, it's like, oh, so how much did you earn on this? Oh, they gave me that. Okay, but this is how much he put. I mean, I get that we're all doing business, but even in our dealings as producers, as directors, is weird. So maybe I might not say anything, but I will never come to you again. So for me, one thing that is more like me being disciplined and also being very intentional about the story that I want to tell every now and then. How best do I want to tell this story? Is it really like, do I really want to tell this story now? When you see my notes, you'll be surprised. I have so many pitches that some brands have said no, we are still in talks. They say no, not because they don't want to, but it's really not right for them. Like I made mention of International Women's Day, there's World Fishing. There's so many things that as young creatives, you can look back. If Black History Month, when we did with Manju, my collaboration with Manju and Burberry, I mean, we don't celebrate Black History Month here, but what's the takeaway here? There are people from the UK who are Ghanaians, who are based in the UK. There are people in America who are Ghanaians, who were born there, but they still have their root here. When they see campaigns like that, they also feel like they are part of what the Ghana story that we are telling. It's not always about, oh, I'll wait when it's set my, then I'll wear my kente. You as a creative, what you need to tell people is, I can be anywhere, but I can still tell my story. If I'm telling a story, I want to go to Cape Coast, I want to involve the fishermen there. It's World Fishing Day. I mean, maybe it's a free tip. Let me just reach out to maybe Burberry. Let me reach out to Nike. Hey, I need some nice apparel for World Fishing Day for them to wear. Let's do a high fashion campaign. You style them, you're good to go. So for me, these are like the things that sometimes I do when it comes to like working with brands. It's not like, oh, why is it that always this boy is in there? Sorry, I'm always also being told no, but then I'm just very smart about how I go about my things and how I would want to project Ghana. It's not just, oh, I'm just trying to tell Ghana's story, but I'm very passionate about telling Ghana's story and also working with the right people every now and then. Thank you.
Thank you, Echo. Anyone else on the panel want to follow up?
So when
Harriet.
I started in the industry, there weren't lots of writers. So what I did is, I mean, before then, I feel our curriculum is problematic because it's just stuck or it's just centered on design. What about those of us who are not interested in design? Where are the opportunities for us? And the curriculums are so stuck up that it's just that mindset that when I leave school, I'm going to be a couture designer. I'm going to do corsets. I'm going to do gowns, tulle gowns. I'm going to do organza blouses. And there wasn't opportunity. I am not interested in design. Maybe the only part of design I'm interested in is sourcing, which I enjoy because obviously I'm a shopper. So I carved a niche for myself. I found that there was an issue in sustainable fashion and decided that I was going to hop on that and just, my writing and research was just going to be focused on that. Our mentality on this part of the continent or in Ghana is that nobody wants to work under anybody. Once we are out of school, nobody wants to intern, but you need to learn. Because these opportunities only come when you collaborate. We also don't like collaborating. Last time I was speaking with someone, and the person wanted something and reached out to, I mean, this is a very confidential information. So the person reached out to someone wanting to collaborate, and he said no. And this is a higher power than you. So if the person goes ahead, you'll be screaming that the person had stolen your idea, but the person actually reached out to you to collaborate, but you just blatantly decided that you were not going to collaborate with the person because we have this notion that just me, and me, I want my name on it. If you collaborate, it will actually be better. And most of the times the opportunities that are there, good thing is that UK government has the Shivling Scholarship, has the Commonwealth Scholarship. And early this year, or in August, I was selected as a Community Solutions Fellow, where I went to the United States and served the Fashion Impact Fund. And served the Fashion Impact Fund as a Communications and Partnerships Fellow. Then it was a really exciting moment for me because I got a lot of young people reaching out to me. Oh, are you in school? I want to know about this. But here's what. When you send them the link, they bring back the work to you to do. So someone reaches out to me, I want to apply for the Community Solutions Fellowship. Perfect. Send you the link. Oh, write the essays for me. Like, write it and let me review. Then they vanish. They are not interested in writing. They want you to do the job for them. Someone reaches out to me. Oh, I want to go to school in the UK. I want to do this. Oh, okay, Shivling Scholarship is open. Do you even have any schools in mind? No. I have to go and do the search for. I have a lot of things to do. I can't go and be searching for schools for you, honestly. So I think that we also need to make the efforts. You want to be a designer, you want to be a writer, you reach out to me. Hi, dear. Hello, dear. In my DM. Honestly, I'll not even look at it. I'll not mind you. You can go somewhere. I remember vividly someone sent me a message, hello, love. I didn't mind the person. I heard somewhere else that the person mentioned that I was too known. Fine, I like it. You have to go and learn manners. Come back and come and reach out to me properly. Then there are those who also say, oh, I want to be a writer. Send me your this thing. Then they vanish. Send me a write-up. They vanish. You go on their Instagram page, no work. There is nothing there. It's just pictures of them having fun. Nobody will take you seriously. And I also think that one thing that has actually really helped me throughout my journey was the fact that I use my peers as my mentors. So I mean, it's okay for you to look up to someone who is very big in the industry, but honestly, these people also have lives. They have a lot of things going on, and they cannot always be readily available. So you need, most of the times, or sometimes, you need to fall on your peers, because I feel sometimes we undermine the things that our peers can do. And when they reached out to us to be on this panel, I was really excited because these are people I look up to. These are people I run to whenever I need something. Oh, Elom, this is the project I'm doing. Just look at it. Is this something that you are interested in joining? Oh yeah, I'm interested in joining this, you see. So you also need to respect your peers and look at them as people that you can always reach out to, because, I mean, it has actually worked for me. Thank you.
Can I just?
Yeah, I think that's so true. She's about that. She actually came to intern at Ajabin. Akuvi, Harriet came to intern at Ajabin, and it was super amazing. Like, for her to text and send me a message that, hey, I want to come, I want to do this with you guys, and I'm like, yo, I've seen your stuff, you're amazing. So, and she completed, and it was super great. I think with opportunity coming to you, I think you have to be ready and prepared, right? I am a positive believer in ahoshishe, like self-put. I'm a positive, and it's the positive one, not like trying to take advantage of people, but a positive one. My recent collection was a collaboration with Joseph Uwada Kuntakinte. And imagine that, 3 years ago, I messaged him and I said, hey, let's do a collaboration. Of course, he wasn't going to mind me. But the thing is that, you have to do something. You need work, you need stuff. You have to show something. You cannot, be a musician and say that I am going to DM Beyonce and say, hey, Beyonce, I'm a musician, I like your stuff, and, let's work together. I mean, right, Beyonce is supposed to see something. Even if it's not going to be direct, it should be an indirect thing. Maybe someone is showing Beyonce that, yo, I've seen this person, right? So you do something for whoever you want to reach out, should be able to see. So the moment you text, the moment you DM, there's like an idea. Oh yeah, I've seen your stuff. Okay, maybe let's try it, right? So opportunity comes to you when you are ready and prepared. So you cannot have anything and then you expect opportunities. Yeah.
Yes, I agree.
Okay, so. Okay, so when it comes to working with the global markets, even locally, like they've all said, etiquette. First of all, that's the most important thing. And I think we do ourselves a disservice when we don't do the research to find out what's the process for something. I've had people that I've spoken to that like, oh, they DM'd, like they have a fashion brand, and they want to stock in certain stores in the US and the UK. These are big box retailers. And they're talking about, I sent them a DM saying that I want them to stock my stuff. Which big international retailer, first of all, they are companies, they are corporations. The person who's on their social media is anywhere close to the person who's the actual buyer. So how are you DMing them? So we do ourselves a disservice when we don't actually just do some research to find out what's the process. Like, you want to reach out to these stores, but you don't even know if they did say, okay, show me your stuff. Do you have anything ready? A lot of these brands, they've never even heard of a line sheet, that I need a line sheet that should have, some of them even like a catalog. Let's not even talk about a line sheet that will have your wholesale price, just a catalog with your products that they can see the front, the back, they can get to know about your brand. So it's like sometimes we don't want to put in the work and do the research, but we feel like maybe you've seen that somebody is doing something, but I feel like there's a shortcut, but the person has put a lot of work into it. The person is working with different people to help them attain that goal. I remember there was a time, so I talked about doing work in this industry and not being paid, which has happened in so many times in so many different ways. There was a time that I was working with an organization and we went with some brands to Paris. We were doing a show there. And this was a show that, as at the time we reached Paris, I had not received my money. The hotel, we got there and found out that the hotel had not been booked. So I'm basically homeless in a foreign land. My French is broken. But I was like, I need to figure out how to make it work here because I know that I'm interested in retail. While I'm here, I can meet stores. I can talk to the people in the stores. We were doing a pop-up in a shop. I need, like you said, ahoshishe. I need to do ahoshishe with the store manager because when I create that relationship now, when I'm working with a client, okay, I have a contact in Paris. Let's see if we can get you into a store in Paris. So you need to sometimes just bear certain things, number one. Number two, be willing to just do the research, find out the process, go through the proper channels, and learn etiquette. Because if you are not taking yourself seriously enough to do that work, how will they take you seriously when you approach them? And then the next thing I also wanted to talk about in terms of being the international market, the 15% pledge. I don't know if any of you have heard about it. In 2020, when in the US there were all these killings of black, especially black men, black people, but specifically black men, it sped up this movement called the 15% pledge, which was started by Aurora James. And what they did was they basically challenged retailers. Like, instead of you guys saying, oh, we are sending, love and light to the black community or to this family and stuff like that, put your money where your mouth is and dedicate 15% of your shelf space to black-owned brands. This includes African brands. So when the 15% pledge started, different retailers, Nordstrom, Selfridges, they all took up this commitment. So there's already that space since 2020 for black-owned brands. It now falls on you, the brand, to do the work, to make sure that your brand is in a position that you can actually approach these stores and leverage the 15% pledge in your pitch to them. Like, I've seen that you work with this brand, I've seen that you work with this brand, and you feel like your brand is going to be, a good fit there. And also, because they also need the PR. Yeah. For them, honestly, a lot of them, this 15% pledge is a PR stunt for them to say, we are stocking this brand and this brand and that. So in some sense, they need us. But how prepared are we to pitch ourselves to them? So if any of you don't know about the 15% pledge, I think that's something that you can all look into. Find out the stores that have made a commitment to the pledge and see how best you can position yourself to pitch your brand to them using that.
Let's give Elam a round of applause.
I just wanted to just add this story. I think also as creatives, LinkedIn and Twitter is really our friend. I mean, some of us are just on Twitter always trolling people, but when this whole writing started kicking off, a lot of the editors that I met who started commissioning me, I met them on LinkedIn, I met them on Twitter, and like he made mention about positive, I want to share. It's actually very good, but don't be in people's face, because sometimes it's really annoying how maybe you just wake up, we're all humans. There are days that you have your downtime, and the first thing you say is, the person will even say hello to the next thing, when are we working together? Imagine, maybe I'm the head of Nike marketing, whatever. Obviously, I will never even see you. These are humans. Like, sometimes don't even talk about work with these guys. Engage them. Hey, have you ever been to Ghana before? Have you ever been to Nigeria? Like, how is your company looking at? Oh, I'm really a fan of Nike. I'm really a fan of Adidas. I'm really a fan of da-da-da. But I know that maybe you are one of the people that might help me get there. But I'm not, you're not there to always like, hey, Vanessa, so I have this idea. You need to sometimes just randomly hit them up. The moment, obviously, if they haven't added, you can't be bombarding them. But like the moment that whole connection starts, oh, thanks for the connection. Looking forward to have some sort of conversation. And I have some good friends where sometimes they even send you an email. They're like, we should have a coffee meeting. How do they go? Is it coffee date? And randomly, the coffee date is just you on Zoom. They're drinking coffee, you drinking, and you're just talking, just sharing ideas. So the more that you talk to them, the more that they tend to have your insight, they go back into that room and like, hey, I was in a meeting with this person and this is what he's trying. Have you ever thought of doing something? And I'm going to end right now. When New Balance happened, we weren't supposed to shoot in Ghana. If you all know, Sadio Mane is not from Ghana. But when I met the marketing guy, he met me through LinkedIn, and when he reached out, what he said to me is, hey, we are looking for a copywriter, and someone recommended you, so we just want you to help with like copywriting, behind the scenes, you just do whatever, and we pay you for this particular campaign. When can we have a call? I'm like, Monday. So on Monday, I went as a copywriter. we're just talking. I realized that the ideas that they had for the campaign was so good. I'm like, okay, this is where I can also chip in. So right there, I started what? I'm like, oh yeah, this is good, this is that. This is how we can do it. When you go to Senegal, this is how best you can shoot it. And he's like, I really love how you are thinking. What do you do again? Is it just copyright? I'm like, oh, I'm actually a producer. Right there, I just sold myself to this person. And he's like, you know what? I'm just going to put you in contact. I'm not the best person for this market because I'm in a different market. They'll reach out to you in 3 days, and yeah, you take it. After 3 days, the UK team reached out and, hey, we want to produce a New Balance campaign for Sadio Mane, which was supposed to, everything was supposed to be shot in Senegal, but we shot here in Ghana. And so I think there are so many great people on LinkedIn. There are so many great people on it. It's not just, oh, yes. Sometimes the yes also should go into the dim and just like, hey, I'm a big fan of your work. How best can we collaborate? Sometimes some might say no, but people watch. I have so many great friends now that then they will never like, who is this boy? But now it's like, oh, hey, let's have a talk. Let's meet. I mean, right there, you realize that it builds. It didn't just sometimes not because maybe you're not good, but it's not the right time for us to work. But then they are watching how you even tweet. For instance, when that whole Kill the Bill issue happened, I unfollowed a lot of my friends because you can't claim you are a creative. You can't claim you're a fashion designer when people's lives are on the edge and I'm not here to talk about whatever we should legalize, but all I'm saying is if you claim you're a fashion designer, think about people. You don't say, oh, I'm a fashion designer, and even your workers, you're not paying them. How she made mention of that whole 15%, you don't even know about that. You are not even like just intentional about even being nice to people, but you claim that you want to work with them. They'll take you off. I was in South Africa for a project just early this year for Birkenstock, and the said model that was supposed to shoot, we took him out of the job because he made a comment about a stylist who worked there. This guy looks like a girl. Right there, the creative director was like, called the agency, they took him out. And it's so many ways. Even some of the way we talk to people is like, people don't know how to, you just make any comment, media, if this person come, I'll kill, like so many weird things. And if I'm online and I'm a marketing person, this is what you've been saying every night, I will never even want to work with you. So we should be very careful about how we do things, how we reach out to people. And please again, this is my plea as any young emerging talent here. Our emails is everything. I check my junk more than even my real inbox because I've lost like 2 major jobs from there because I saw that late. Take your time and read emails. If you know you can't reply, like she said, use your peers. If I have so many great friends that when I started writing, they were proofreading for me. They will proofread and go like, this is not how you should go about it. And gradually, yeah, So it's not always about looking at maybe Vanessa. When you know that Vanessa is very difficult, think about your friends. You might have a friend who is very good with writing. You might have a friend who is very good with just looking at something like, oh, I feel like this dress is really good, but the finishing is not really on point. Why don't you do it this way? Always don't think about the big people when you don't even have access to them. Your success is just around the people who are around you. That's all I'll add. Thank you.
Thank you.
So for me, one thing that has also helped me is looking the path, because the Fashion Impact Fund has actually exposed me to a lot of connects, but the truth is that I'm not a people's person. I don't like people. So networking is a really big problem for me. I look like an outgoing person, but I am nothing like my personality. So when I'm actually going, because the Fashion Impact Fund actually works in collaboration with the United Nations, so I was working mostly from the United Nations headquarters. So when I'm going to work, what I do is that I try as much as possible to look sharp. I mean, I wear my best pieces. So I wear my best pieces and I have my elevator pitch. So as soon as, and it's something that has really helped me. You go for events, I'll just be in my corner sipping my Coke, lemon, and ice. Then someone will say, oh, you have a lovely dress. Then that's where the conversation starts from. Then, oh, you are into fashion. Oh, no wonder. So most of the times, I feel that sometimes people will say, oh, I'm a fashion designer, I'm this, and what are you wearing? You're not even sure what you are wearing. You say you're a fashion designer, but you are not even representing yourself. So I think it's very important. The elevator pitches are very important, but looking the part is important.
Thank you. Let's give a round of applause for our panelists. Amazing. We are going to open the floor for a Q&A session, so any questions you have for them, as you can see, they have all the knowledge, the experience that you definitely want to grab. So if you have a question, you can put your hand up. Let me take, sorry, Ellen. Okay.
Hello, my name is Kwame. So the question I have is, how are we going to bridge the financial gap for fashion? Because I'm looking at the stuff Ajaben is making, and I'm looking at movies like Wakanda Forever, and I'm seeing people who are wearing stuff like what he has. But then for our traditional clothing, most of the time, if you want something like what Ajaben has, you have to go to like a traditional, a local tailor to make stuff like that, right? But then I'm hoping that in the future we could be wearing dresses like Ajaben stuff, right? I'm checking the website and I'm seeing clothes with 650 and 500. I'm not saying that's expensive because I don't know how he's making the stuff, and I believe he's charging what is worth what he's making, right? But then I want to, I'm hoping that we'll have the situation whereby everybody is putting on real like traditional stuff that is swaggy and more cool, right? So looking at the way forward, how are we going to bridge that gap of having everybody looking like what we see in the Wakanda movies? Yeah, so that's my question.
Okay, so I'm going to be very transparent with you. So there was this stockist in the US, and then we were having a conversation, and then based on our price points, they were very blank to us that we are cheap. That Ajabin is very cheap, right? So we had to, move upwards. But, aside that, so comparing, the local tailors and seamstresses. For example, the way the Ajabin brand operates is that you have a collection, and then you go to the studio to shoot for your catalogs, and then you do a campaign, right? Because it's also based on the marketing, how you want to communicate and all that, and it involves cash. It involves money. You pay before you do all these kind of stuff, and it's not because when you have the fabric and then you go to Brakwesi in the container. Of course, Brakwesi can do exactly what Ajabin is doing, right? But Ajabin is giving you something beyond what Brakwesi is going to give you. Ajabin is giving you a feeling, right? But Brakwesi is not going to give you a feeling. Brakwesi is just going to give you an outfit. But when you wear this, you feel like, maybe the theme behind the outfit you are wearing was, Afro-romance or Ghana away. So it's like you kind of have like that kind of feeling, that kind of emotions attached to the outfit, right? So it's not, just about, the pricing, but it's what goes into, the production. It's production costs, campaign costs, everything involves into that. But so basically that's it.
To add to that, right? It depends. There are different price points. It depends on what price points that the brand wants to sell at. For brands that generally we don't have enough brands, I think that's reaching the mid-market level. But the problem there is also because of production costs. Production costs here are generally high. If we want to have, I don't know what price points would be reasonable for, I don't know, like whatever. If you want to have a lower price point, the best way to do it is to produce on a larger scale. But like I said, production costs are higher here, and then there are problems with consistency unless we train our workers to do it the mass production, as opposed to doing piece rates where they make individual. So every brand, I think it's because every brand has the model that they're operating on. A lot of the time, like he's talking about marketing costs, and there's a lot of thought that goes into the the whole garments, it always has to be a trade-off. If he's talking about bra quasi or something, a tailor making it cheaper, the inside of the garments might not be the same. In my introduction, I don't know if you were here, but I talked about even the comfortability of the product, how long it can last, the fabrics being used. Is there some, scratchy label inside, scratchy fabric that's going to make someone very uncomfortable? All those things play a role, and that's even the reason why, not that I'm saying that moderately priced clothing is fast fashion, but that's the reason why fast fashion is the way it is. It has to be a trade-off. It might look good, but maybe the product you wear it 2 or 3 times, and you can't wear it again after that. So to answer your question, we can all look like Ajabing and have a lower price points, but then there are trade-offs, and then considerations about mass production have to be made, because if you're not producing mass, then those producing are also not getting enough. And I think we've all spoken about our workers being paid well. So that's just my 2 cents.
Thank you. You have another question?
So everything you guys have said is very, very valid. It's true. Everything you said is right. So I think I also have the answer for my question. You saying that we have to do things on a mass production, right? But I'm trying to put the thought out there. Maybe it's something you guys will be looking out to, solving that problem in the next 5, 10 years, having that mass production, because
there are factories in Ghana though.
Yeah, but we're all going for the cheapest alternative, and we're all looking like people who are living in the outside world, sort of. I don't know if you get my point. I get what you're saying. But we are all not looking like what I was proposing at first. So I'm saying that I'm hoping it's something you guys will be looking at, making it very affordable for everybody to be able to put on that same outfit. Because right now, the thing is that you're factoring the cost of your advertisement and your marketing and all of that. But I'm hoping that in the next 5, 10 years, we'll be able to even still have all that marketing and that feel, and then be able to put on affordable clothing that looks like what we have traditionally. So that's it.
Okay. All right, thank you very much. But we are having conversations around sustainable fashion because of overproduction, making fast fashion issues, making poorly made pieces for at really cheaper prices. I'm going to say this from a consumer's point of view because I understand you. Years back, I could shop from H&M, I could shop from Zara, but I realized that after 2 to 3 washes, it's bad. And these are pieces that go for like $56, $60 or 60 pounds. And so I decided that I was not going to invest my money. Maybe the only thing, shamelessly, the only thing I'll buy from Zara is the blazers, because I like to think of blazers as timeless pieces. I could do anything with them. Even if I'm tired of them, I could just remove the sleeves. So those are the only thing I buy from Zara. So I started investing in Ghanaian brands. I mean, it depends on what you want. If you are looking at investing in good quality and finishing, and there are actually brands that the prices are up, but the finishing is really bad. I was telling Shika just this evening that there is a brand that, I mean, everybody hypes. And because I've also started investing in Ghanaian brands, I decided that, not that even I decided, someone gifted me the piece and I was very disappointed. So now when I see the brand and the price point, I get really angry. And I'm not saying this because Ajabin is a friend, but all the pieces that I have bought from Ajabin has been worth the price. So I feel it's really what you want, and how, I feel it's really what you want and how the pieces will last for you.
Vanessa, just to add up, I think, Kwame, it all boils down to our choices, in the sense that we are in this room, we might be guilty. There are days that you'd want to wear the Gucci's, the Balenciagas and all these. These are like highly priced. You tell your cousin coming from the UK, oh, buy me some Sperry's. Obviously, that cousin buried that spare. Why don't you ask that cousin to send you that money to buy the Ajabane, the Christy Brown, the Larry J and all that? But sometimes we would also want to wear somewhat foreign brands. So in as much as we are always saying, oh, this brand is expensive, that brand is da. The price that they are charging is even way lower than, because when you go to South Africa, when they say, when you hear the name Thebe Magogo, Rich Nimsi, it comes with quality. So when you walk into that room, you won't go and tell them that, oh, that price is too high or it's too low. Either you buy it or, so that's why, like again, I said, it's okay for us not to buy every now and then. So for me now, I know that if I make some cool money and I want to really look good, I'll just go buy some cool jacket, which is like whatever amount, if I'm okay and I have that money, and I'll keep it. But not buying every now and then. So if I see an Ajabin piece and it really looks good, I'll buy that. But it doesn't mean I'm buying every now and then from Ajabin. He knows. He gifted me a pant. Sometimes he says that, you like wearing this pant? So obviously, yes, it's good. So why do I have to buy different pants? Sometimes the problem is that we think we need everything, but you don't. So in as much as we are talking about pricing, there are so many ways of you buying just one, and you can't say you are buying less because you need to look good. And obviously, I know, you like life. You don't want to buy something not worthy of what the price. So if someone is selling something to you 2K, 1,000 CDs, and you think it's worth it, me now, if I'm buying something, I check the finishing. Yeah. I don't care whatever brand that you are. If it's not good, I wouldn't buy it. I've had discussions with my friends. Sometimes we even talk about everything. Hey, this designer, what do you think about the show? Oh, this was good, but I feel we could have done, because that's how we all learn. So you can't say because, oh, this person is pricing. If this person's price is higher, obviously, if you get that 3K, you would want to wear some Louis Vuitton. And Louis V has their price fixed. No matter what you do, they will never come down because you want to buy. And so if we also say we are supporting our local way, we should also get that idea of supporting where if they say this price is that, and you see the quality of work, I think the complaining shouldn't be a problem. We should just buy, because I'm not sure you complain if it was the likes of all these big brands. Yeah.
Thank you. So we'll take 2 more questions and then, 3 more questions and then we'll wrap up. Okay, let me see.
Hi everyone, good evening. I just want to thank the panelists for all the information they've shared. Thank you so much. So I'm very passionate about fashion education as well, and I wanted to ask, what are we doing about the curriculum and the sustainability education? And not it just starting from like the tertiary education sector where people are learning all the fashion courses, but even as low as the vocational schools, the NVTIs, how can we start teaching them about the knowledge of sustainability so that when they're leaving the school, before they're going to the businesses or being pattern makers or whatever roles they decide to pick up in the fashion industry, they start having that mindset that I'm not just going in to make clothes because I'm following this is what Pantone is saying this year or spring summer collection or whatever, but think about it being more sustainable. And then just to buttress on what he was saying, if you think about building a wardrobe of functional pieces, you end up not buying a lot of things, because some things a lot of people buy just because they want to buy, but is that staple functional for your wardrobe? So I feel like, what are we doing in the fashion space to get people to start thinking in that way? And also, I wanted to also say that when these conversations are happening, let's not only talk about clothes making, because fashion transcends just clothes. Those who do accessories, I think is applicable to them. Those who make shoes, those who make bags, all that is also part of the sustainability thing. So I just wanted to say that when we are talking, let's not base it off too much on fashion and textiles, but let's get all those people in the chain involved. Thank you.
Thank you. There's a lady in the blue and white striped shirt here. Here.
Hi, I'm Silla from London. Thank you so much for the discussion. One thing that I've been really excited about living in London is seeing the collaborations between like Ghanaians and people in like Ghana, West Africa, and with Western brands. And one thing I loved and disliked about Black Panther 2 was the introduction of this another global majority Mexican. But one thing I disliked, was that a lot of the film was used to create the tension between them and the solidarity at the end. I wondered if, as creatives, that have you thought about the collaboration between other countries in the global south, like Asia, because it seems like there's so much opportunity, and there is a lot of focus on us, like excitiness about us collaborating with Western brands, but actually we should look to our neighbors. And yeah, so is there any like opportunity for collaboration between other countries in the global south? Have you thought about it and that sort of thing?
Thank you. Who wants to take? Okay. So you want to take all the questions and you answer? Okay, so go ahead.
Hi, my name is Ezekiel. So my question is on the supply chain and policy. So early on, we spoke about people going to the local or indigenous communities to outsource their materials. However, the price points that they pay for these products are not a reflection of the finished products that they put out to consumers. But then again, could you blame them in the sense that if you look at countries like Ghana, people are struggling. So if they're able to make this product and are able to get to them, it's a fair compensation in the sense that I get like, I'm able to make it for like 40 cedis and I'm able to sell it for like 60. Even though per pricing, they could take it to like 100 or 150, and the person taking it could take it for like 200 or even 1,000. Is the problem in the sense that people are seeing a structural breakdown that they are taking advantage of, that we need to fix that structure in order to ensure that even though I may feel that this is what I need, I may see a different angle that it's a business or it's a product that needs to be valued beyond my immediate need and needs to be addressed. So in that context, how are we able to ensure that we are able to convince that local person who is producing this product and sees it as an end to its means to be able to get something to survive, as compared to maintaining that value that this product holds because of the fact that they have the skill set and can produce these products for people to use and sell at a very expensive product. Thank you.
Thank you. And then one more question, and then the panel will answer. Someone from this side, I think. Okay, the young lady in the black.
Hi, my name is Stephanie Aqua. So in the beginning, you mentioned sustainability, but then it seems like everyone has a different definition of sustainability. So how do you hold brands accountable when anyone can get up and make their own definition for accountability?
Thank you.
Okay. So I'm going to take that last question first. A lot of brands greenwash, a lot. It's why I always say that over here we don't prioritize sustainability reports, because the kind of sustainability activism I saw in the US and the ones I've seen in the UK, over here, when you try to hold brands accountable, it's more like you are pulling them down. A brand does something, you call the brand out, and it's because you don't like the brand. That is why you are calling them out. But then, if we want you to do the right thing, we need to call you out. But if you don't have the education, if the brands are not even being honest with you, how will you be able to call them out? Do you understand? So it's why I mentioned that the whole sustainability concept, for those of us who are researching about it, is something that we are still learning and unlearning. But then it's important for you, the consumer, because I realized during my research that consumers actually they are very powerful. Consumers are the ones who are responsible for driving our industry towards a future with no net emissions. So when we start holding these brands accountable, okay, you are saying that you are doing this, and that. How are you doing it? Keep the public informed through sustainability reports. Only invest in brands that actually show you where your money is going to. How much are you paying this person? I know these are very uncomfortable questions to ask, but once you start asking the questions, you realize that a lot of things will change. I'm not supporting you because obviously you don't pay, you go to the north and you exploit young girls, you pay them peanuts for the things that they make for you, you bring them down here and you sell them at very high prices. I want to know what the structures are, how you are paying your workers, what corporate social responsibility activities are you embarking on. So when we consumers start asking uncomfortable questions, brands will sit up.
To add up to what she said, I will touch base, like she made mention about consumer. And as a producer, as a writer, sometimes do influencing work for brands. I've been in that situation where a very big brand, not to mention name here, I had to say no to them. They are very good because they have good money, so they will pay. But when you look at their ethos, it's really bad. They don't stand for anything sustainable. So if we are all in this room, whether you're a creative director, you're a writer, you're an influencer, a beauty influencer, all that we do, brands reach out to us. And there are so many brands in Ghana. And when we say sustainable, it's not just like how my sister made mention that we shouldn't even focus on just fashion. As such, everything that we can think of, even someone making shea butter, if they are not really intentional about how they do their production, don't really support them. Because I realized that this particular brand, what they were doing was, it's really big and they come all the way down or go whatever, do so many things. And when you hear how much they are paying their workers, you'll be like, what's happening? So for me as a producer, my way of also not supporting them is not working with them. And so if, let's say they have myself and maybe other 10 people who are holding them accountable, when they come to me and I say no, they go to Elom and Elom says no. They realize that we are a team. But here we are again. As Ghanaian creatives, we are not even united. I'm not even here to even badmouth anyone. I've said no to some jobs and I see it out, I'm like, okay, and you will be the same person on the space saying that, oh, they are not support. Obviously, yes, you never sold yourself well. Someone comes down and they're saying, oh, we don't have a budget, when clearly they will never go to any country and not pay, but because they are coming to Ghana. So you took that job and you expect them to really treat the next producer, the next photographer. No. But imagine when they came to me, I said no. Elom said, or I even called, hey Elom, these guys reached out to me, I don't know if you take the job, but please make sure we should have a base. And that's the sad thing that we don't, when you made mention about education, we don't even have, we always have creative discussion every now and then. What's next? As in, there is no collective group of people coming together, whether we are photographers, whether we are writers, because my brother here, Adolfo, he's a writer and he's from the UK. Obviously, if I'm in the same room with him as a pitch, maybe he coming from the UK, they might even pay him high. I'm not saying that's the case. Because I'm coming from Ghana, they might pay low. Because maybe Elom has a different color, they might pay. But then, the moment they say, okay, hey, Vanessa, we're going to pay you $100, you think you just want to put your bylines out there, so you take it. But how about even negotiating and go like, oh, hey, how much are you going to pay? Like, I feel like this is too small. Can we? But because we are all thinking that it's like a trend, you have to work with the likes of all these big brands, so you need to sell yourself short. They will never, ever respect us. But if we are like a solidified people coming together, trust me, in South Africa, what happens is a lot of the creatives are their own friends. So if Elom says no, Vanessa is saying no, and they will all make sure that they will sabotage that work. You will come correct with them before. And if we get to that point, it will be so good for us, because you have no idea the number of times that brands are always coming down, and when they come down here, it's like, oh, sometimes what they even do is they will use you as a thesis. So you do their research, all the dirty job, then you hear from them. The next minute, they'll ask, oh, we just need a ballpark figure. And it's not even me trying to even mention some crazy money. Obviously, these are people's day rates. And I'm very big on paying people day rates and also whatever. A brand who is making millions of dollars will tell you that, oh, how come you are asking for a day rate? How come you need to pay? But obviously, this is someone coming from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. and you don't want to pay a day rate, you just want to pay a one-time off. But all this conversation, when creatives tend to ask, oh, hey, you are asking me to take a photograph of so-and-so, whatever. how many years is it going to be? It's okay to ask these questions, but it's only when they come down here, it's like, you can't even, and when you do it, you might say no, the next thing they blacklist you, then you see your own brother taking that job. So obviously, that whole sustainable, we are not sustaining even our own self. How much more are they going to sustain us if we are a collective coming together? And that comes back to the education. Imagine even our schools, all these fashion schools in Ghana are teaching us how to know the business side of fashion. Whether you are a designer, hey, when you finish school, it will be very difficult for you, but it's okay to pitch ideas to brands and they say no. Sometimes we need to tell people the truth that it's not always very rosy when you come out. We've all had it there. And so let people know that there are like some, how do I call that? Some things that you need to pay to get to where you are. But we don't talk about this. And then when someone tries to be, oh, this one, he's so full of himself. Yeah, that's fine. If you want, and one thing that my grandma always tells me, say we are so per se, we are different now. And I mean, I don't know how to explain. Like, if you want to be different, people will say you are like full of yourself, but it's okay. Sometimes it's okay for you to be the bad nuts if only you're not stepping on people's toes. And that's my problem that I have. Like, you can see, I sometimes see some project and I'm like, so this is how you sold yourself so short. And you see a billboard that can run for like 4 years, they've already paid you. Your mom is seeing your job, your brother is seeing your job, but they are not even what? Sorry, you're not even making any money, but these guys are always making money out of you. So at the end of the day, we need to come together as a collective, whether we are designers, whether we are stylists or whatnot, and what, be very firm about how we project ourselves. If I say no, Harriet should also say no. Then when they realize, they will like, oh, you know what? These Ghanaian creatives are not what? Really cheap. And it's not even about money here. It's about how we think. Some brands, like I was talking to a friend of mine recently. I'm like, so imagine, I'm not going to mention name, but Elom knows. I was on a speaking panel, and one of the brands, I'm sure we all know, not to mention names, and we saw what they did, blah, 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 blah. She posted my artwork, and I saw that she had highlighted, like she had blackened the designer's name. I was like, wow. You might think this is just a conscious, it's not like, oh, everyone will see it, but you see how she just did. Imagine everyone was doing that. In as much she's hyping you, but that particular brand, she is not supporting because what they did is wrong. There are so many brands in Ghana that if I tell you what they do, but they do big campaigns, models are hungry, photographers are not getting paid. You chase them, but they make it look as if it's so well. But if you say no to them, then it's like, why are you saying that? So I really think, in as much as we are talking about sustainable, being sustainable is also being intentional, be strategic, be very firm about how you make decisions with these people when you're in their boardrooms. Thank you.
Thank you. I know there were other questions, but we actually have to wrap up. After the event, if you want to speak directly to each of the panelists, you definitely can. But before we wrap up, please let me know your social medias. And of course, we want to know what you're all wearing. So let's start with Elam.
Okay, yes, it's on. So social media, it's Sika_Amankwa. My Amankwa has no H at the end. Everyone assumes there's an H. Sika_Amankwa. And what I'm wearing, the jacket is Ejapoma Gallery, and the pants are Bloom by Edgy.
For my social media, Twitter is Ecobands, all together. Then Instagram is Ecobands _. On LinkedIn is Richmond Ecobands. What I'm wearing is Chip O'Neill, and the pants is by Studio Kujokusi.
Okay. So my LinkedIn is Harriet Anijabin, and my Instagram is QueenSarah_1. A local tailor actually made this for me. So if you want her number, I can give it to you later.
Yeah, so the brand name is Ajabeng, AJABENG.GH on Instagram. My personal is Oben Kaspar. My LinkedIn is Travis Oben Kaspar. Twitter is Oben Kaspar. So
Thank you.
And I am wearing myself.
Yeah. And I'm Vanessa_Jan at Modern Day Mom everywhere. And I'm wearing Bloom by Etsy also. So thank you to our panel, and thank you all for coming out tonight. Make sure to also follow British Council on social media. Of course, Chapter 54 for this amazing event, and there's so many other events that they have coming up that you definitely want to support. Like I said, you can still talk to our panelists. We will take pictures with them. There's light refreshments, and thank you again for coming out. Oh, and you can shop. Oh, okay, so I hope you have your Momo all filled up so you can shop. There's light refreshments and network, because you never know who the person is that is even sitting next to you. And have a good evening.